Well, here we are again. It's Uncle Bruce, and it's a nice afternoon in Houston, Texas, and we are still in Deal Maker, the fourth tab in Shark Cap Table 3 Fin. All right, folks, I want to show you Section G, which is quite important. It gives you the overall view of what you've just done in terms of your deal that you've structured. Kind of have to test these deals. First you make it, then you look at it, then you make it, you look at it. It's not a one-size-fits-all. You got to play with it a little bit. It's the art of the deal. Okay, so it allows you to visualize the value of what you've done. I think this section is useful to demonstrate the effects of exit delays and equivalencies in EBITDA and revenue multiples. You know, if somebody says, I want to give a 4 EBITDA. Well, what is that actually as a revenue multiple? Well, we show you what that is. It's handy to have. So you can test your 3 projections for liquidity. Liquidity is very, very important. And if you have too much liquidity, you might be able to carve back some of the offering, hence making the returns a little higher and keeping some more equity for yourself. So that's why we fine-tune this thing. All right, so I want you to look at what's going on here. We have the midsection or the mid case. We're using a multiple of EBITDA. And I'm going to move this up a little bit so that we can see it. And when we go here to we can play the EBITDA game and we can see what the EBITDA looks like. Or, see, this is revenue and this is EBITDA. Now let's go down here and take a look at our liquidity because this is actually the important part. So here we have the mid, and this green line here is the liquidity ratio. It is defined as, and I'm going to show you right here, the ratio uses beginning cash divided by the period expenditures. It does not take into account increases or decreases in cash flow for the year. We don't have that much resolution, so we have to start and see how much we're going to spend and see if that starting cash is enough to get us through. Now, there could be losses and there could be profits during that same period of time. We will see what the ending cash looks like as well. So this little tool here shows you what the expenses are going to be for the year in the thousands, okay, because we got that up here. This is the beginning cash, and this is the ending cash. So, in this case, we've got 200% of what we think we need. And actually, thereafter, it's always over 200%. That tells me we could cut back on some of the investment and make a better deal for ourselves. So let's go try that and see what happens. I'm going to scroll back up to our section F, and I'm going to show you where we are right now. We are going to turn off the adjustments. We are going to use a multiple of EBITDA. We're going to use 3 times that, and we're going to sell in year 7. It shows at 886,557. Also shows the shark having a negative 11.9%. Now, I want to demonstrate something to you. Here we're asking for $400,000. Watch what happens to this shark internal rate of return when we lower the amount of money. Now, it's still negative, but it's going towards positive. See that? So we might be able to get by for just $200,000. Let's scroll down and see our liquidity again. Well, now you see that liquidity is still pretty good. We probably could go and carve off a little bit more. So let's try it. Let's go to 160 and see what we did. Again, we're going to scroll down. Aha! Now we've got a yellow which says the liquidity is between 5 and 30%. Happens to be 28%. So, maybe we ought to quit while we're ahead because we're a little shy there. Okay, it's getting real close. This is pretty good. This dips down again. Then we get better and better and better. Now, of course, a lot of you are going to say, well, gee, let's just get the amount of money we need for the first year and we'll do successive raises later. Yeah, you can do that, but not on this tool. You got to get enough money to show that you got a runway for a couple of years because you may not be able to go back and get more money. Remember that. The investors don't want to give you more money if you're sort of an also-ran. You don't make much money. And that happens. What do you know about that? All right. So I think we could probably do okay with $160,000. Now we're going to try another little experiment here so that you understand there's a very tricky thing that happens. When I come up here and turn on the CA and CL, that's current assets and current liabilities adjustments, it means we're actually going to balance those two together and we're going to add the cash in. I'm going to show you what that looks like right down here because we have a line item. Right here is a line item showing you what that number is. Now look, up here is the gross revenues and here's the EBITDA, and watch what happens when we turn off the adjustments. This is the total exit value. It goes from 886 to 1956. That's because there's $1 million sitting in there in your final account in your year 7. So you're going to get paid dollar for that stuff. All right, we're going to go back up here and I want to show you something that is counterintuitive. We've just put the on. We're going to now increase the amount of money that we need. And I want you to watch what happens to our internal rate of return for the Sharks. It actually gets bigger. Now, why in the heck are they getting a better rate of return by spending more money? I had to go back and look at this very carefully because it fooled me. I'm the guy that wrote this program and it fooled me, but it is correct. Here's what's going on. If you add more money, guess what? It gets more money at the very end. And they've had to pay more for that rate of return, but they're getting a lot of money at the end. So that's why it goes up. If you want to prove that, just turn it off and play the game again. You reduce it, it's getting closer to zero. If you ask for more money, you go into the hole more. Exactly what it should be doing. So I'm going to leave it at about $160,000 because that's all we need. And let's just take a quick look at what happens when we, and by the way, when we reduce this deal investment, we have to come up here and bounce. Notice, see, it shows the pink. You got to come in here and you got to futz around. There we go. Oh, keep on coming here. It'll do it. One more time. There we go. So come up here. It's kind of an iterative process. There we go. You have to do it a couple of times. There we go. So now we're back in balance. And let's go see what happens when we do the high. Well, you see, now we're breaking into the positive. Let's go try the low. Well, you know, none of this is very exciting for anybody. Now, let's see what would happen, of course, if we could get 4 times EBITDA. Crank up here to 4 times EBITDA, because 3 is crazy low. So the high gets 7.5. Yeah, not very good. 6 minus for the mid, and minus 21 for the low. Well, let's try a little different thing here. Let's go to the revenue multiple. And 4 is a bit high for the revenue because we're not growing that fast. So let's put it back down to about 2 and see what happens. Well, 2 gives us a minus 13. Let's try the low. That's the mid now. We got minus 5, 2. Again, this is not very exciting for anybody. All right, so now you've seen that we got to do something different here. We either got to get a lot more money at the exit or we got to make more money. But let's turn down here a little further and take a quick look. We're okay with our liquidity, so that's not an issue. We still do need about $160,000. Now I do want to show you this. This is kind of a cool chart. This shows you the difference, or the equivalency, I should say. We're setting now to 2 times multiple of revenue. So there's the 2. It turns out it's the same as a 2.2 times EBITDA. So if we increase this to 2.5, it's going to stay that way. Now watch what happens when we turn around and make it a EBITDA multiple. That EBITDA now is the 2.5. Let's move this off to the side so you can see it. Maybe we'll put it all the way over here. That's okay. That 2.5 right there in year 7 is that 2.5 right there. They kind of switch because now you're looking at EBITDA and trying to figure out what the equivalency in revenues would be. It happens to be 2.2. Now watch, of course, what happens when we change the exit. This always stays 2.5, and this will change because of revenue size. All right. So we really need to go back and play around and make a better deal going. But let's see if we can do something different. At this point, basically you've done an equity deal, and you don't have to go any further. If you go further, we get into more complexities. But they're really interesting, so stick with me. The complexities have to do with different kinds of securities that we can make a deal. And we've just done equity. But we've not done anything with dividends or payback dividends. We also have a security which is called a pre-money and an option pool. Well, we've already utilized those. Come down here, we have a combo. We could do a combo. Well, what's a combo? Well, you could put an equity deal with some gross sales royalty, or you could do a combo deal with a preferential royalty, which is kind of a limited royalty. You get a certain amount of money and then it quits. Or you could just go down and do a pure royalty. As we progress, you can see that we can do all kinds of things.